Is a quarterback switch about to happen? It was interesting. Jerod Mayo made his usual rounds with the media today. And when he was talking with Greg Hill and company on EEI, he was, of course, asked about Jacoby Brissett, the quarterback situation, Drake Maye. He was asked, when will Mayo make a decision? When will he make a decision about whether Brissett or Maye will start on Sunday? Mayo said, quote, we'll see how it goes. So right off the bat, that's a very different answer, right? When Mayo is asked, when are you going to make a decision between Brissett and Drake Maye? What Mayo has said in the past is Jacoby Brissett's our quarterback. We are 100% in on Jacoby, things like that. Today, that changed. Today, it was, we will see how it goes. Another question on EEI. Do you feel at this moment right now Brissett still gives you the best chance of winning? Here's how Mayo responded to that. Quote, we haven't had our full staff meeting today. That's a conversation not only at that spot, but all the spots of how to get better as a football team. We're not playing well. It's not a secret, unquote. So again, he's given a chance. Do you feel at this moment right now, Jacoby gives you the best chance to win a football game? And Mayo is hesitant. He says, we haven't had our full staff meeting today. We got to get together. That's a conversation. Not just for that spot, for all the spots. So Mayo, again, kind of tap dancing around, telling people whether or not Jacoby's the guy. Much, much different than how he has handled the media the past few weeks. Again, WEEI, Mayo was asked if he risked the locker room if players wanted a quarterback change. And after praising Brissett, Mayo said, quote, this is a solution-based business. We have to find solutions, unquote. So pretty much every single chance Jerod Mayo had today to tell you, to tell me that Jacoby Brissett was going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots this weekend against Houston, Mayo passed. Mayo did not say that Brissett was going to be the starting quarterback. We have to look at things. We have to talk about things. Was unwilling to say that, Jacoby Brissett gave them the best chance to win. That is much, much different. Much different. That's a clear shift. And the translation is rather obvious, right? We got to talk. But Drake Maye starting is absolutely on the table. And I think Drake Maye starting is on the table now more than it's ever been. These prior conversations that Jerod Mayo has had with his coaching staff, the prior conversations that have happened in that locker room, I think right now, Monday, October 7th, 2024, 3:04 Eastern time, in the PM, not the AM, I think right now we can say that Drake Maye starting a football game for the Patriots in their next game is more likely now than it has ever been. Listening to Mayo deal with the media, things have shifted. He is obviously getting closer to making Drake Maye the guy. Now, a couple of things. One of my caveats from the beginning of the conversation of Maye versus Brissett has been, if you lose the team, you've got to move, right? If you lose the team, you've got to change things. If the Patriots, if in that locker room, these players want Drake Maye to be the guy, if they've seen enough of Jacoby Brissett, if this team doesn't believe that Brissett can win games, if his teammates are out on him, you've got to make the move. I might not love the idea of making the move when it happens, as I've said, and I'll get to that in a few minutes of how I feel about this and when I would like to see Drake Maye start. But if the team is out, the team is out. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what you think. You cannot keep playing Jacoby Brissett if the locker room knows that he should not be out there, because then you lose the team. You lose everybody else in that room, and you cannot risk losing everybody in the room. So if the players say it's time to make the move, you make the move. And I know we say, oh, well, Nick, the head coach has to make the call. In the real world, when the players look at the two quarterbacks and they say, yeah, that guy is better than that guy, we've got to move on. Then you've got to move on. If you continue to play Brissett and you tell the rest of the team that if you are the better player, if you practice better, then you're going to be the one that plays. If you keep telling the team that story, but yet at the most important position on the field, All the players are seeing Drake Maye outplay Brissett, or they see Brissett and say, come on, man. Come on. The ceiling isn't nearly high enough for us to continue to play this guy. Then you are in danger of losing the football team. And for a first-time head coach, a second-time, technically, offensive coordinator, and for DeMarcus Covington and for Elliott Wolf, they have a lot to prove. And they're not going to sit back and allow the locker room to say, we've got to make a change here and not make the change. And that's been a caveat for me since day one. There's no wiggle room on that. If the football team, if those guys that are playing for you every Sunday, if they've had enough of Jacoby Brissett, then you have to make the move. You have to make the move. The guys know. Now, as far as Brissett and his play, he hasn't been good. The last 2 weeks, he's been bad. Against San Francisco, he was terrible. Against Miami yesterday, he wasn't much better, if better at all. And when you look at him now that we've had 5 games, when you look at Brissett and you compare him to the rest of the league, he's been worse than I thought he would be. Clearly has been worse. 29th in passer rating. The only quarterbacks that are lower than Brissett in passer rating are Will Levis, Bo Nix, and Anthony Richardson. Brissett is 28th in QBR. Now, I'm not sure if that number was heading into this week's games or if it was after yesterday's games, because there's no indication from ESPN. So Brissett might have been 28th in QBR going into the Miami game, which likely means he's even worse. Brissett is also 18th in the NFL in completion percentage over expected. That's a number that I always go to, right? That's an analytic I love to use. You have a completion percentage, what is expected of you via the play call. But how much better is the quarterback than what is already given to him? And Brissett is 18th in completion percentage over expected. He's a minus 0.4. So he's not even giving you what he should be giving you. And he's had the 9th longest time to throw, by the way, 2.9 seconds. Taylor Kyles does great work for CLNS. He posted this with some video of Brissett yesterday. While Brissett's effort versus pressure and questionable play calls was valiant, there were too many plays left on the field. Missed third down conversion opportunities due to late inaccurate throws, 2 potential scores to poke, and a shot to Pop Douglas where he led the wide receiver into coverage. If you guys remember that long pass to Pop Douglas in the game, right, towards the end zone, if you look at the All-22, and Taylor Kyles has posted this, look at the All-22 video. Pop Douglas is open. He is so open. That should have been a big gain down to inside the 5, if not a touchdown. But Pop is running towards the pylon pretty much. Brissett leads him kind of upfield. Terrible throw. Golden opportunity. Brissett hasn't been good enough. The final play, right? The final play of the game. Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback of the Patriots right now because he's supposed to be smart. He's supposed to understand game situations, not get frazzled, not get rattled, right? What happened yesterday? Final play of the game. What's he do? He throws the football to Hunter Henry away from the sideline so time expires. You can't make that throw if you're Brissett. That is such a low IQ decision by the quarterback. It's inexcusable. And when you're playing a veteran, because he's supposed to be the smartest guy in the room, because he's supposed to understand what to do given certain circumstances and situations, and he throws the football down towards more the middle of the field than the sidelines when you've got like 10 ticks left to the game and you have no timeouts, that's a ridiculous decision, a ridiculous throw by Brissett. And he might have had other guys open, including Pop Douglas, who was streaking towards the sideline. Just brutal. His third quarter play, where he dumped it down to Ramondre Stevenson on a swing pass. That play to me is one of the biggest concerns that I saw yesterday. You want to know why? Because the pocket was there. That was a clean pocket for Brissett. He had a clean pocket, but he did not trust anything. And immediately he looks over to Ramondre Stevenson on a big play and swings it to him for a loss of 2 yards. That was a decision made by a quarterback that was in his own head. His internal clock had sped up. That was not a quarterback that was surveying the field, diagnosing what he saw, going through his options, and then methodically, in a calculated way, finding the right guy to throw to. That was I got the football, and like within a second, I already was getting rid of it because I thought the whole pocket was going to collapse, even though it didn't. And those plays are concerning. What about the offensive line? We'll get to the offensive line. We will get to Jabril Peppers. We will get to Alex Van Pelt. First, I want to get to some of these super chats. And by the way, as you're hanging out, if you want to jump to the front of the line with a question or a comment, be my guest. You can send a super chat. Also help me out financially, of course. That will get you to the front of the line. Kyle Kirk sends the $10 super chat. Curse of the captain patch. Unit is in shambles. Yeah, not great. Mayo has to take control of his team. He can't delegate to AVP anymore. This team is held down by coaching as well as talent deficiency. Thanks, Nick. The coaching is egregiously bad. It's been egregiously bad the last few weeks. And DeMarcus Covington, I don't think he was as bad as his counterparts yesterday, given the hand that he was dealt. But again, we'll get into Van Pelt, and I am going to destroy Alex Van Pelt today. So if you're waiting for the Alex Van Pelt evisceration, it will happen sooner rather than later. But we've got to get through some of this news first. Van Pelt stunk out loud again yesterday. He's a major problem. Major problem. And we'll break it down better than anybody. We'll go through the thought process or lack thereof. Thank you, Kyle, for the super chat. While you're hanging out, don't forget, take a second of your time. Doesn't cost you any money, but click that thumbs up for us on this YouTube channel. When you hit the like button, that helps us beat that algorithm that YouTube sets up. It's the only way we can do it. It's the only way that we build this community. So don't forget to give us that like, that thumbs up as you're watching. Don't forget to throw a comment in. Even if you don't like what I say, throw a comment in because comments mean the world to the algorithm. Let us know, would you start Drake Maye right now? Let us know how you feel about Jacoby Brissett's play. All those comments will help us. And as I always remind people, subscribe. If you love the content, subscribe with us. Trying to get to 4,500 subscribers. We are pretty much stuck in neutral at like 4,340 or so. So let's try to get that up to 4,500. I appreciate every single one of you. Anonymous with a $9.99 super chat. Is it time to take play calling away from AVP and fire him at the end of the season? I would not take play calling away from Van Pelt right now, but I'm getting closer to that. I'm getting very, very close to that point. I would likely give Van Pelt 1 or 2 games with Drake Maye to see if the play calling can match up with the more talented quarterback. So when Maye gets out there, you see how that kind of works out, the communication between the rookie quarterback and Van Pelt. Does Van Pelt with the higher ceiling get more out of the offense? Are they scoring more points? I think the last 2 weeks you can certainly argue, and this is not to say Van Pelt's been good. Again, we're going to smash him later. But you can argue that Brissett has cost his team points the last 2 weeks. Now, last week it didn't matter because, you got stomped by San Francisco. But yesterday, it mattered. I mean, that Jalen Polk touchdown, that wasn't a touchdown because of a ridiculous rule. Brissett makes a better throw there. It's a touchdown. And Polk was open earlier. But he waits a little bit too long. He misfires high. And there you have it. So just that one throw. Chris Chapman's all in with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Chris. Hashtag PlayMay100. So he's in on that. Justin, TF Patriot, got a bunch of super chats rolling in here. I'd rather watch Maye go down swinging as a gunslinger that can also run and make plays. Brissett is upsetting, Justin, missing open guys. Hashtag Nick's beer money. I appreciate you, Justin. Yeah, it's infuriating. It's infuriating to watch Brissett play. The last 2 weeks, no excuse. He's been bad. And we know the offensive line, but I'm talking about plays that are there for him to make. Steve Nardillo says, lost faith in AVP. Thanks for the $5 super chat, Steve. If we move on after the season, where does that leave Maye and others with having to relearn a new offense? So this is the bigger issue. I was actually talking to my wife the other day about this. I think it might have been yesterday. The bigger issue is if you get rid of Alex Van Pelt, Now Drake Maye is going to have to deal with a second offensive coordinator in 2 seasons, which is not how you want to start out with a rookie quarterback. It's what Belichick and company did, obviously, with Mac Jones. You started with Josh McDaniels. Things went pretty well rookie season. Then you came back with Patricia and Judge. That was a disaster. So then you came back with your third offensive coordinator in 3 seasons, and that did not go much better with Bill O'Brien. You want consistency for a young quarterback, and immediately, if Van Pelt can't find his ass with 2 flashlights, with 2 hands and a flashlight, and you're stuck saying, see you later, goodbye, Alex Van Pelt. Now you're going to have Drake Maye working with his second offensive coordinator in as many years. The silver lining is that you do have a couple of options on this staff. So you could make a change there, and you could just slide Ben McAdoo into that play calling spot. He's been around May since the beginning. T.C. McCartney, quarterback's coach, who was well thought of in the league when he got hired. He can be a play caller as well. I don't know if you want to put that on McCartney's plate, this quickly, but you do have some on-staff options that might mitigate the difficulty of changing offensive coordinators during the season. Anthony Bennett, $5. Thank you for the super chat. What's your Mayo mutiny meter? Mayo mutiny meter. I don't know, maybe like a 6. Maybe a 6. Because I do think players on the team, they're looking at Brissett. They're looking at the O-line, especially through the first few weeks. They're looking at some of the injuries. They're looking at Van Pelt. I think they would give up on Van Pelt quicker than they would give up on Mayo. So I'm not going bananas just yet. I'm probably at a 6, but we'll see. D. David 1, the $5 super chat. Thank you, David. Give Jacoby a week off. Put him on the injury report. Put May in. Dude's got to be sore. Then you can go back if Drake flops. See, I disagree with that, David. If you make the move to Drake Maye, I think you've got to stick with Drake Maye. You don't want to mess with his mentals. You don't want to throw him out there to bench him and then just go back to Jacoby Brissett. That'd be a disaster to me. Like that Chicago Monday Night Football game when you played Mac Jones, then you took him out when he apparently and obviously wasn't physically ready to be playing in that football game. You threw him out there anyway, and when he struggled, you then benched him for Bailey Zappi, and you had the entire crowd during Monday Night Football chanting Bailey Zappi's name, and that was the beginning of the end for Mac Jones, frankly. I mean, that was pretty much it. You toasted the dude mentally. So I think once you go to May, you've got to stick with May. Once you go to May, you are telling the team that you're going with May because he's the better option. I don't want to go flip-flopping. I don't want to flip-flop with Drake Maye and Brissett. If you go to May, you stick with May. Okay, couple more things before we move on to Jabril Peppers and that awful story that came out today. What about the offensive line? One of the things that I have been talking about, I've been consistent, the offensive line has to be at least not a 5-alarm fire to put Drake Maye out there. And I said last week that I came to the conclusion that the offensive line needs to be at least at around 40% pressure rate before I put Maye out there. Because if it's 50%, 56%, that's an all-out disaster. So what about the offensive line? Well, yesterday, Vidarian Lowe came back. Vidarian Lowe, of course, was the starting left tackle during camp, and then he got hurt. He played the Cincinnati game after playing like one practice. He was okay given the circumstances, which was going against one of the best pass rushers in football, Trey Hendrickson, and he was obviously not 100%. He was all right given that, but then, of course, he was hurt again, and he just hasn't been able to get going. Yesterday, Vidarian Lowe was at his healthiest, so you had your starting left tackle back. Michael Jordan came back. Jordan's been really good. Michael Jordan's been really good this year. Then you had, of course, Nick Leverett, who had to sub in for David Andrews. You had Onwenu back at right guard. Interesting decision. Don't hate it. Onwenu back to right guard. And Trey Jacobs right tackle. Now, when I was watching the game live, it felt to me, I don't know if it felt to you, throw a comment in. Did it feel to you like the left side was holding up? When you were watching that game yesterday live, was your reaction that the left side of the offensive line wasn't too bad. That was my reaction. My reaction watching the game was, hey, Vidarian Lowe and Michael Jordan are doing a pretty good job on the left side of the offensive line. My other reaction while watching the game was, holy crap, Nick Leverett is getting destroyed. And if you listen to this podcast, on Friday's podcast, previewing the Dolphins game, if you remember, I mentioned that if there was one thing I was concerned regarding that defensive versus offensive line matchup was the fact that the Dolphins had not one but two interior pass rushers who were top 20 in the NFL in pass rush win rate. Calais Campbell was top 10, and Sealer was also in the top 20. And I mentioned on Friday's podcast that those two guys could make life miserable for Nick Leverett. And Nick Leverett would have to hold his water. Nick Leverett did not hold his water. He got destroyed. He gave up 10 pressures. 10 pressures. I thought it was going to be tough. I didn't think it was going to be that tough. Mike Owenu gave up 4 pressures. This is according to Doug Kide, who has the stats from Pro Football Focus. So Leverett gave up 10 pressures. Owenu gave up 4 pressures. Jacobs at right tackle only gave up 2. Michael Jordan gave up 1. Antonio Gibson gave up 1. Hunter Henry gave up 1. And did you know that Vidarian Lowe yesterday did not give up a single pressure? So watching live, it's confirmed by these numbers. Vidarian Lowe and Michael Jordan were good yesterday. Left tackle, left guard gave up a combined 2 pressures. 1 pressure. Jordan gave up 1. Lowe gave up 0. You gave up 1 pressure between your left tackle and your left guard. Great job by the left side of that offensive line yesterday. Where you got crushed was Nick Leverett, right? Giving up 10 pressures, and Mike Owenu giving up 4. I think Owenu will get better. He's getting his sea legs again at guard. Again, it was a tough matchup with that interior defensive line. I trust Mike Owenu will be a good right guard. So Vidarian Lowe and Michael Jordan with Mike Owenu, now you feel like, okay, you've got 3 of the 5. Right tackle, center. Jacobs only gave up 2 pressures yesterday. We'll see how he does as we move forward. But Doug Kide tweeted that Brissett faced a 43.8% pressure rate. Again, my number was 40. If you get to 40, I'm okay with Drake Maye playing. If you can get this O-line to 40% pressure rate. But the devil's in the details. Phil Perry posted that the Patriots gave up 18 pressures on 37 dropbacks. That's 49%. However, you have to look inside the numbers. The average time to pressure. So 9 of the pressures on the Patriots yesterday happened in less than 2.5 seconds. 6 happened in under 2 seconds. Those are bad reps. Those pressures are bad. So 9 pressures were under 2.5 seconds. In the NFL, you can't have it. So 9 of the 18 pressures, half of the pressures, according to Phil Perry, would be quote-unquote bad pressures. But you look at some of the other statistics. The average time to pressure yesterday was 2.96 seconds. So even though you had 18 pressures in total, Jacoby Brissett had almost 3 seconds on average to throw the football, which means Brissett had a really good pocket a lot of that game. Several extended snaps ended up resulting in pressure. Perry counted 5 pressures that occurred with at least 3.5 seconds after the snap. That's not on the offensive line. So 5 pressures that occurred at least 3.5 seconds after the snap. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. If you get a pressure because it took longer than 3 seconds to create that pressure, that's not on the O-line. That could be on the play call, but mostly that's on the quarterback, folks. So you can credit Brissett for a number of those pressures. You could actually credit Jacoby Brissett for at least 5 pressures yesterday because there were 5 pressures that he had the football in his hands for more than 3.5 seconds. That's inexcusable. That's on the quarterback, whether he's scrambling, he doesn't get rid of the football quick enough, he doesn't see it quick enough. That's on the quarterback. And when you look at the second half, 3 of the 5 pressures that were that long were in the second half. And when you look at the second half, there were 10 non-pressure dropbacks in the second half versus 8 in the first. So the offensive line got better as the game went on. The offensive line gave Brissett more time as the game went on. So not everything is on the offensive line. My point of view was, hey, you see 40% before you start Drake Maye. If you take those 5 pressures of at least 3.5 seconds and you have 13 pressures on 37 dropbacks, that gives you 35%. So if you wipe out the 5 pressures that to me aren't even pressures, they're not on the offensive line. If you take out 5 of those, right? Those 5 pressures, the pressure rate yesterday was 35%. And think about it this way. Nick Leverett was responsible for 9 or 10 of those pressures. So the quarterback holding it forever and your center is the reason why you didn't end up having a really good day in pass protection. And I know a lot of people, right? And I'm going to get to Peppers. I'm going to get to the game. I know a lot of you get annoyed or frustrated with the offensive line, and I do too. And I know many of you might get annoyed by me at times when I talk about the offensive line, because I try to remind everyone the offensive line that we've seen through the first 5 games of this season is not the offensive line that was expected to play. That's not the vision of this football team. 7 of the top 8 offensive linemen have been hurt, are still hurting, or left the team due to mental health. And people think that's excuse making. It's not. There's a difference between excuses and reasons. And to me, the reason why the offensive line has been an unmitigated disaster isn't because the vision just didn't work out. It's because we have all these guys that are hurt and you're constantly shuffling. So you have no continuity up front. It's not to say that the starting offensive line would be good or great or terrible. The simple point I have made is that we haven't had a chance to witness the actual starting offensive line. We haven't had an opportunity to evaluate the starting offensive line. And so you might never get that opportunity. But what I can tell you is a player like Vidarian Lowe, I'm not telling you Vidarian Lowe is going to be good. He might end up sucking wind. He might be brutal. Vidarian Lowe might end up being one of the worst left tackles in football. But I am going to evaluate Vidarian Lowe off of his play, not off of his name. And some people, they want to burn the village down immediately when things aren't going great. You got to take a breath. So again, I'm not telling you that Vidarian Lowe is going to be awesome or bad. I'm going to see how he plays. God forbid. So I'll give you an example. Doug Kai tweeted out that Vidarian Lowe has the highest pass blocking grade among all tackles, right tackle and left tackle. Lowe has the best pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus this week out of every tackle that's played up until tonight on Monday Night Football. Vidarian Lowe literally was the best pass protecting tackle in football yesterday. Not telling you that's going to continue. But how many people were, oh yeah, Vidarian Lowe, as you were getting ready for yesterday's game, oh, Vidarian Lowe's going to be different. Oh yeah, he's going to help out. He didn't give up a single pressure. So the truth is, aside from Nick Leverett, the offensive line yesterday was more than good enough. Leverett is a problem. But Leverett was good against San Francisco. So he was good against San Francisco. He was awful against Miami. Can you find the middle? Can you find the middle for him? The line came out healthy, some continuity, which is good. Hopefully they can run out the same 5 guys next week against Houston. But the players, if they're questioning it, I understand the change. You roll. You roll with the change at quarterback because you can't lose the room. Now, what would I do? If you haven't lost the room, I would not play Drake Maye this week. You want to know why? Because I'd like to see another week of the offensive line together, but also Houston, we'll preview the matchup on Friday, but Houston's pass defense is just outside the top 10. D'Amico Ryans is legitimate. That Texans defense is tough on the pass. So I don't think that's a great spot to throw Drake Maye in. When would I start Drake? I think if you look at the Jaguars game in London, which is not this week, but the week after, that's a better spot for Maye. So unless you've completely lost the team, I would be targeting starting Drake Maye in London against the Jaguars. Hopefully the offensive line stays healthy, and you see this offensive line with continuity and health get better, and then you throw Drake Maye up against the Jags, who have not been good against the pass. Not a very good defense. That's what I would do.